Chapter 55, Into the Drowned Wind. The volcanic lands faded behind them, the air cooling with every mile until the scent of salt and seaweed replaced the sulfur. Ahead, the horizon was swallowed by steel-gray clouds, their edges flashing with silver light. It was no ordinary storm. From the cliffs above the port town of Saltmarsh, they could see the ocean itself heaving unnaturally, waves twisting in spirals that defied the wind. Somewhere beyond that churning wall of water lay the heart of the next storm. Tillo's lip curled. I was hoping for a nice beach, maybe a drink. Not that. Brenna grunted. We're going through it, one way or another. Passage denied. Saltmarsh should have been bustling, but the docks were empty, ships moored tight and sails furled. The harbormaster, a wiry old man with skin like weathered rope, shook his head at their request for a vessel. Nothing's going into that, he said flatly. Storm's been holding the bay for weeks. Swallow's ship's whole. You step into it, you don't step out. Veriza smiled thinly. We've heard that before. First steps to sea. The only ship willing to take them belonged to a smuggler named Captain Rain, who looked at them like she already regretted the deal. We get close. I turn back, she said. You want to go into the storm itself, you'll be swimming. Tillo sighed. Nothing like a relaxing ocean swim in a death vortex. They set sail at dawn. The first few hours were eerily calm, the water glassy and still beneath the ship's hull. But the air grew colder, the sky darker, and then the waves began to rise. The ocean strikes first. The first attack came not from above, but below. A massive shape surged from the depths, a serpent of water, its body made entirely from the sea itself, eyes glowing with deep blue light. It crashed down toward the deck, the weight of a tidal wave behind it. Brenna shifted instantly to lead weight, planting her shield and taking the hit with a bone-jarring impact that kept the ship from capsizing. Tillo's four swords leapt into motion, slicing through the serpent's body, sending spray exploding into the air. The creature reformed instantly, surging toward the stern. Nessa darted along the deck in a blur of lightning speed, her electrically charged strikes sizzling through the serpent's liquid form, forcing it to recoil. Veriza's time stop locked the battlefield for 6 precious seconds, just long enough for everyone to position for a devastating combined blow that shattered the serpent into harmless waves. The wall ahead, when the water stilled again, the true storm loomed before them, a towering wall of rotating sea and sky, stretching from horizon to horizon. Lightning flashed deep within, illuminating shapes that moved in the water, vast, slow, and watching. Captain Rain's voice was grim. That's as close as I go. Brenna stepped to the bow, gripping her hammer. Then, this is where we swim. Veriza's smirk was sharp. Let's make a splash. Chapter 56. Into the maelstrom. The sea was cold enough to bite. Salt stung their eyes as they plunged into the churning water. The roar of the storm above muffled into a low, endless rumble beneath the surface. Even swimming toward the wall of the storm felt wrong. The current didn't pull them in or push them away. It spun them in slow, deliberate circles, like the ocean itself was studying them. Nessa broke the surface long enough to shout over the wind. It knows we're here. Veriza smirked, treading water. Good. Saves us the trouble of knocking. The gatekeepers. As they crossed into the storm's heart, the world went dark. Above, a funnel of clouds spiraled endlessly, rain hammering the surface. Below, the water seemed bottomless, lit only by flashes of pale blue lightning that arced through the sea itself. Shapes moved in the deep, massive, sinuous, and many. The first surged upward, breaking the surface in a spray of foam. It was a guardian unlike any they had seen, a creature of pure water shaped like a giant manta, its wings stretching wider than a ship's mast. And behind it, 3 more forms rose from the depths, each smaller but faster, swirling around it like hunting sharks. Tillo's floating swords burst into motion, forming a spinning barrier as one of the smaller creatures darted in. Oh good, he said, it brought friends. Fighting the current, the battle was chaos in 3 dimensions. Brenna's weight shifting became their anchor. She sank like a stone when the current tried to drag them upward, then went feather light to launch herself into the manta's side, hammer swinging. Nessa became a streak of blue-white lightning in the water, moving so fast that she left glowing trails, her speed enough to confuse the smaller guardians and keep them off balance. Vereza's time stop slowed the fight long enough for everyone to regroup, but even frozen in place, the manta's body flowed, reforming slightly between heartbeats, the heart of the sea. "The big one's the key," Vereza shouted. "The others are feeding it power." Tillo's grin was sharp. "Then let's cut off its lunch." He directed his swords toward the smaller guardians, each blade moving with surgical precision to slice through the glowing cores inside their watery forms. One by one, they burst apart into harmless spray. With each one destroyed, the manta slowed, its massive wings beating less smoothly. 6 seconds to kill. Vereza froze time again. In the stillness, she drifted closer to the manta's chest, pointing to the now exposed core, a swirling sphere of light and sea foam. Hit it, hard. Time resumed, and all 4 struck at once. Brenna's hammer caving in the outer shell, Nessa's charged daggers driving deep, Tillo's swords piercing from every angle, and Vereza unleashing a lightning strike so bright it lit the storm from within. The core shattered. The manta let out a soundless scream before dissolving into a cascade of rain, the storm collapsing in on itself. The ocean calmed, the towering walls of water falling away until only the open sea remained. 2 down. They floated in the sudden stillness, breathing hard. Brenna was the first to speak. 3 storms gone, which means 1 left, Tillo said, and I'm betting it's not going to be polite. Vereza looked to the north, where the clouds over the horizon were dark, not with weather, but with something heavier. The last one's Earth, and if the others were this bad, Nessa's smirk was faint but dangerous. Then we'd better be ready to crack the ground itself. Chapter 57. The Land Shifts. The voyage back to shore was eerily smooth, the sea calm as glass, as if the ocean itself was holding its breath. By the time they reached Saltmarsh, the scent of salt had faded, replaced by the heavier tang of iron-rich earth. Their path northward took them through rolling grasslands. But the further they went, the stranger the terrain became. Hills slumped like melted wax. Boulders jutted from the soil at unnatural angles, and in some places, the ground seemed to breathe, swelling slightly, then settling again. Brenna crouched, pressing a palm to the dirt. The earth's moving under us, like it's alive. Vereza's eyes narrowed, or like something underneath is making it move. Warnings in stone. They reached a small mining town clinging to the base of the mountains. Half the buildings were abandoned, and the others leaned at awkward angles, their foundations warped. An old miner waved them over. "If you're going up there," he rasped, "turn back now. The mountains have been waking. Stones slide where they shouldn't. Whole paths vanish overnight." Tillo glanced at the peaks. "And I'm guessing it's not just bad weather." The miner shook his head. "There's a man up there, wears black armor, raven on his helm. He's been building something. The ground answers to him." Nessa's hand went to her daggers. The commander. The first tremor. The trail into the mountains was narrow and steep, but they moved quickly. Every so often, a deep rumble rolled through the stone, not from above, but from within. Halfway up a ridge, the ground ahead split open with a thunderous crack, spilling rock and dust into the valley below. From the gap, stone shapes began to rise, golems of jagged rock, each with a glowing blue symbol carved into its chest. "They've got the same markings as his armor," Vereza said. "He made these." Testing their resolve. The golems attacked without hesitation. Brenna went lead-heavy, planting herself in the narrow path to block their advance, her hammer smashing against stone with bone-rattling force. Nessa flickered between them, her electric speed sending sparks skittering across their rocky hides, distracting them just long enough for Tillo's 4 floating swords to dart in and strike at the glowing symbols. Vereza froze time for 6 seconds, enough for everyone to position around the largest golem. When time resumed, their combined strikes shattered it into an avalanche that tumbled harmlessly down the slope. His shadow. As the dust cleared, a shadow stretched across the ridge, too sharp to be natural. High above them, On a ledge overlooking the path stood the raven-helmed commander. His voice carried down the mountainside. 3 storms gone, and still you climb. I almost respect your stubbornness. Brinna stepped forward. We're ending this, here and now. The commander tilted his head slightly. No, you'll end it where I've chosen, at the heart of the last storm, if you survive the mountain. With that, the ground beneath them lurched violently, the path crumbling away into a yawning chasm. Chapter 58, The Mountain's Wrath. The ridge shuddered again, and stone split beneath their feet. The narrow path they'd been climbing sheared away with a grinding roar, sending boulders tumbling into the chasm below. Brinna went heavy as lead in an instant, slamming her feet into the shifting rock to anchor herself, one hand grabbing Tillo by the back of his collar before the halfling could vanish over the edge. Much appreciated, Tillo shouted, dangling. Above, the raven-helmed commander stood unmoving, hands raised. The blue runes on his armor flared, and the mountain answered. Slabs of stone rose from the cliff face, jutting out to block their way, while other sections crumbled into jagged pits. The whole ridge was shifting like a puzzle rearranging itself. Running the gauntlet. Nessa moved first, flickering in bursts of lightning speed from rock to rock. Sparks leapt for her every step, giving the others brief flashes of safe footholds before the terrain shifted again. Vireza stopped time for 6 precious seconds, giving Brinna a chance to haul Tillo up and for all of them to sprint to a more stable ledge. When the world lurched back into motion, a boulder the size of a cottage slammed into the spot they'd just vacated. Pretty sure he's trying to kill us, Tillo said. Then let's disappoint him, Brinna growled. The stone sentinels ahead. A wall of rock slammed down, blocking the ledge. The surface cracked open, and from within stepped 3 massive golems, their eyes burning with the same blue light as the commander's runes. Tillo's floating swords swirled forward. Deflecting a hail of stone shards, the golems ricked from their own bodies. Nessa darted around them, her speed letting her wedge an explosive charge into the cracks between their plates. Brinna went feather light, leaping high to bring her hammer down like a falling star on the largest golem's head. The impact rang through the mountain, splitting its head in 2. Vireza took the opening to hurl a lightning bolt directly into the exposed rune core. The golem exploded into rubble. The path chosen for them. The commander's voice echoed down from the heights. Good, you'll need to be better than that in the storm. The ledge beneath them suddenly tilted, becoming a ramp of slick gravel that carried them downward whether they wanted to go or not. They slid for what felt like minutes, dodging falling rocks, until the ramp spat them out into a vast crater at the mountain's heart. Above them, the sky churned in a spiral of black clouds streaked with green lightning, and the ground beneath their boots pulsed with slow, rhythmic tremors, like the heartbeat of something buried deep. Brinna tightened her grip on her hammer. Looks like we found the last one. Vireza's smirk was sharp. Then let's make it wish it had stayed asleep.